21st of November, Rabbi Levitt, Gemora.
Okay, good morning, Phil.
Good morning.
All right, Louis here. Let's see. Yeah, oh, okay, so we said that the halacha was what it was. We say takanas hashuk for buyers. We don't say takanas hashuk for those who are not. And then we had this story with Avimi Bar Nazi, the father-in-law of Ravina. Oh, and then we had Rav Cohen. He disagreed with the Psak Din of Ravina and the Gemora. Said that Rabbi Avo said the halach is like Rav Cohen. Okay, and that's where we got up to. Now we're up to Narsha'a. We're in, so Narsha'a. Let's see, there's a Vimi, Hukaraganev, Hadar Glime, Maski Flor of Cohen. Milsa Mati, the Kamid Rebbe Avo. It's getting down towards the end of the page. Hilchasakar of Cohen, and then we have Ner Shah. Okay. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines from the bottom of the Amud. The first word in that Amud is, the first word in the line is Lakame. Lakame the Rebbe Avo. Matter came before Rebbe Avo, and he said Hilchasakar of Cohen. That's where we got up to yesterday. Okay, so let's start. You want to read, Phil, from Narsha?
Narsha. Okay, this Narsha is a certain person from a place. This Narsha, Ganve Safra, he stole a book. And then he's Vin Papune, and he sold it to somebody, a Papune person.
Apne Lepapuna. What's Lepapuna?
The Tamnun Zuzi for 80 Zuz. And then Ozil Papuni, the Papuni went, Uzivne Labar Mechoza, and he sold it to somebody from Mechoza. The Maya, the Esrim Zuze, a good profit. He sold it for 120 Zuz. Okay, so he turned it around and sold it extra. The sof at the end, Hukar Aganav, the thief was found. They know who it was. Next line here. Omarbaya Barazhe Lize Mare Decipher. Give it to the owner of the book. You got to return the book back. And then he gave it to him. Labar Machosa. And he gave the Machosa person. You have to give him back the book. The owner of the book should go to the owner of the book and give him the bar machosa tamlun zuzah. 80 zuz, not the 120 that he sold it for, but the 80 that the other guy paid for it. But Shaquille Safra, and then you can Shaquille, and then take the book.
That's the owner. The owner has to give to Manin Zuze 80 zuz to the Bar Machuza, to the person from Machuza.
And then the Azal Bar the Machuza has to go. He has to take the 40 zuz from the extra 40 zuz from the Papuni person.
Rabbain Papuna. So he actually paid. Oh, the Bar Machuza, he paid 120 for it.
Right.
He paid 120 for it, and he's the one who has it in his possession. The owner goes to the last buyer in the chain, and he only has to give him 80. He doesn't have to give him the full price what the Bar Machuza paid for it, because the Bar Machuza paid 120. He only pays him 80, and then the Bar Machuza has to go and take the remaining 40 that he paid for the sefer from, I guess, the one that sold it to him. From the person who came from Papuna. And then the two of them, the owner and the Bar Machuza, they'll go to the Ganav and get reimbursed from him, if that's their recourse. Right? Okay, let's welcome back, Lou. We just started this Gemora over here of the this looks like the this Gemora starts from Narsha, Ganav Sifra. This sounds like a real case that happened, and the Gemara tells us what's the psak in the case. You want to read the case again, Narsha, Ganav Sifra? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, Where is that? 8 lines up from the bottom of the page.
Okay, Nar Sha'a Ganav Sifra. So a Narshian stole a book.
Yeah, that's the first step of this case. First thing that happened.
Zabnei the Punaa bis
Right.
Manan Zuze, and he sold it to a Papunian for 80 zuz. Azal Zabnei, I'm sorry, Papunaa Zabnei Lavar Nichoza'a Mima'a Ve'esrim Zuze. So the Papunian then sold it to a Mechosian for 120
Right.
zuz.
Right.
Lasof Hukar Haganav. In the end, the thief was discovered. Amar Abaye said, Lezio Mare Disifra Vihav Le Levar Mechoza Timanan Zuze Shakil Sifre. The owner of the book should go give the Mechosian 80 zuz and collect his book from him.
Right. Even though he paid 120 for it from the Papunian. He's only gonna get 80 from the owner of the book.
Right. Now 80 was the price that we saw above. He paid let's see. The Papunians paid 80 zuz to the
Right.
And then the Papunians sold it to the Mechosian for 120.
Right.
Now he's going to go to the Mechosian and say, I'll give you 80.
Yeah, so he only has to give 80 to this what's his name again? Mechuz.
Mechosian.
Bnei Mechuza. Bnei Mechuza, he even though that he paid 120 for it, he's only gonna give him the owner 80 for it. And then what happens? There's something else that happens.
Va'azil bar mechoza'a v'shakil ar ba'im mi papuna'a. So the Mechosian goes and he takes 40 from the Papunian.
He takes 40 from the Papunian, right?
So he paid the Papunian 120. He gets 80 from the owner, and he gets 40 from the Papunian. So
Right.
that gives him the total that he paid, 120.
Well,
Right.
it's a question who paid. That's what the Machosen guy paid. So the Machosen guy has to get his money back. So he gets the 80 back. You know, the original owner gives him the 80, which then the original owner can claim from the thief that 80 back. But the extra 40 he paid the Papunin, he overpaid the Papunin. He shouldn't have paid that over 40. He can't get that for up to this. He only stole an 80 shekel book from an 80 zuz book from the Nahashai guy. So that's why he has to get the overcharge back from the Papun guy.
No, but right now the one that the Bar Mechuza paid 120. He was the last buyer. He paid 120. Right. He got 80 from the owner, gave up the book. So now he's missing 40. He goes to the one that sold it to him, the Bar Papuna, and he gets the 40 from him. So now the Bar Mechuza, he doesn't have a book, but he's got his 120 back. Now, but what about this Bar Papuna? He paid 80 for it. He sold it for 120. So really, he made 40 out of it, but he had to give up that 40 to the Bar Mechuza. So now he doesn't have a book and he doesn't have any money either, but he doesn't have a loss. So so in other words, there's nothing. We don't say anything about what the Bar Papuni has to do over here because he didn't suffer any loss. He didn't suffer any loss, and the Bar Mechuza has been compensated. So one second, and
the owner is now out 80.
So now the owner is going to go to the Narsha, who sold it to the Parpuna for 80, and he's going to get 80 from him. Yeah, the Gemora didn't say that, but that'll be the excuse of the owner to do that. Oh, maybe Alan wants to come in. He's calling me here.
It seems odd. It would make a lot more sense to me for the Mechosian to get the 80 from the.
Oh, hi, Alan. Oh, okay. Good. Very good. Okay. All the best. Bye. Okay, that was Alan. Seems to have a different number than the number that I have for him. Or maybe that's his cell phone. I never had it. Anyway. Okay, so
got a new phone.
Yeah, what's the comment of over here?
I just said that it seems to be creating an extra step that's not needed. The Narshian got 80 when he sold it. So the Papunian should go to the Narshian and get the 80. Why does he go to the owner and get the 80? The owner doesn't know anything about the 80.
The bar papuna doesn't need to go to anybody because he's right now he has a profit of 40. He made a profit of 40 on this book. He doesn't have any right to go to anybody.
Well, it says that the Mechosian goes to the Parpuni and gets 40.
Right.
And he goes to the owner and gets 80.
The owner goes to the
owner of the book gives the Mechosian 80.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, and we said the presumption is that now the owner of the book has to go to the Narshian and get the 80 back. So
that's the Konas Hashuk.
The Narshian made a profit of 80. So why would it be that the owner gives the 80 to the Papunian? The Narshian should give the 80 to the Papunian. You're creating an extra step that's not necessary.
Again, you're making a mistake over here. Figure out what it is that is the bar papuni. Did he lose anything over here? That he could go and get anything from anybody? He's got a profit of 40 here, even though he bought it from the Ganav, but he sold it to the next guy for a profit of 40. So he made a profit of 40 over here. He doesn't have a right to go to anybody. He didn't lose anything.
The Narshian got 80 from the owner. Now,
he got 80 he stole it from the owner. He didn't pay him for it.
I'll say
he stole it.
He got 80 from the Papunian.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Narshian now has 80 that doesn't belong to him.
Yeah.
Now the Papunian sold it to the Mechosian for 120.
Right.
So the Papunian now has 40 that doesn't belong to him.
Right.
So now it says that the Mechosian takes 40 from the Papunian.
Right.
That makes perfect sense because the Papunian had 40 that didn't belong to him, and the Mechosian was deserving of it. So that makes perfect sense. But what doesn't make sense is it says the owner of the book gives the Mechosian 80.
Right. That's the Konas Hashuk.
But the owner of the book doesn't have 80 that doesn't belong to him that he should give away.
That, again, his recourse is to go to the Ganav.
Right, but why should he have to go to the Ganav? Why doesn't the Ganav just give the 80 to the Mechosian and then everybody's happy and you don't have to have a court case?
But the Ganav, but you need the court case because the Ganav is the one who stole the book. So he has to collect it from the Ganav. That's the person who the owner has to go back to for money. All these middlemen aren't important. The owner stole the book. The owner is the one he has to get the money. He has to get it back from the thief.
That's not.
You have to understand. You weren't here. You have to understand what Takanas Hashuk is all about. Maybe we didn't explain it the last couple of days, but we've been talking about this already for a few days. Takanas Hashuk is for the protection of the buyer. So we favor the buyer over the owner of the item that it was stolen from. How do we favor him? We favor him exactly in the way that it says over here, that if he wants to get his stolen item back from the buyer, he's got to pay for it. And instead of him being able to take away the item from the buyer and not give him anything for it, and have the buyer go and run after the Ganav, we favor the buyer and tell the owner to reimburse the buyer so that the buyer doesn't lose out anything, and we leave it to the person that was stolen from to run after the ganav. That's the kanas hashuk. So in other words, to ask, wouldn't it be better to do it like that? That's the whole takanas hashuk, that we're protecting the buyer. Now, the reason they protect the buyer is because we say that the buyer didn't really have any reason to assume that what he was buying was stolen goods. He was buying the item in a public marketplace setting, and he didn't assume that he's dealing with a ganav or somebody who bought it from a ganav. And so therefore,
why don't we protect the Pampunian?
Papunian was a businessman. He's now sitting with a 40 profit off of stolen merchandise. What do you want to do for him? He doesn't need any help.
He bought it. He's a buyer. We should protect him.
He sold it for 120 and made a profit of 40. Don't worry about him. Right? We want to protect buyers who lost out, but a buyer who makes a profit off of stolen goods, we don't need to protect him. He didn't lose anything out. The one that lost out big was the bar mechuzah, because he paid 120 for stolen goods, and he did not sell it to anybody else. He's sitting there holding this stolen item, and he paid 120 for it. And now, when the owner comes to him, the owner has the right to recover his stolen item from him. And according to Rav Chizda, which is the Din Torah, you're right. The owner can just take it away from him and not pay him for it. And now the bar mechuzah is left to run after the ganav and try to get his money back, or run after somebody and get his money back. But that was the whole idea of takanas hashuk. We don't want to have somebody that buys an item in a public marketplace setting to have to go running around and running after a ganav, because we want to protect that person, because he didn't do anything wrong, and he wasn't careless in his buying this item either. He bought it in a public marketplace setting, and he lost out. So the takanas hashuk says, let's protect him so that he doesn't have to run after anybody, and we'll leave it to the one that it was stolen from to run after. That's the whole idea of takanas hashuk. So this that you ask, why do we protect this guy? Why can't the owner just take his item away from him without paying him, and let the buyer go after the person that sold it to him, or the ganav himself? That's exactly what takanas hashuk says that we don't want to allow for such a thing. That was the whole idea of Tikanas Hashuk, to protect the buyer in the marketplace. Wow, I see Alan's back.
I'm back. It seems to be okay right now. So hopefully I'm getting a new router too in a little while. It's supposed to be a better plan, and by the end of the year it's cheaper. And Avi said he didn't want to bother with it. But the
Great.
guys were nice. The guys from Bezek were nice. They're okay. All right, so what page are we on now? 115A4?
Yes,
Okay. So right now, so that's the din that Abaya paskind in this case. And now the Gemora continues over here with Maskif Lo Rava. Maskif Lo Rava. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 lines up from the Mishnah. The Mishnah is 2 lines from the bottom of the page. And if you go up another 2 lines, 3 lines, you'll see Maskif Lo Rava, second half of the line.
Okay. This ruling is challenged, right?
Yes, you got it.
Wait, well, more. Gilmore.
Ashtalokeh Migane.
Me, Kamor, Yahamor, Nedmor, but perhaps the borrower gave a cloak to Avmi only for these first 4 zoos.
Oh no, not that one. That's got to go further down. That was the previous case.
Oh, another incident.
Keep going to the bottom. The ruling is challenged.
the last paragraph on the page, 115A4.
The ruling is challenged.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, the red mic strikes again. You got to take down the red mic,
Okay.
Alan.
Got it. That's gone. Okay. All right. Miskeb Law Rava. Rav objected to as follows. Hishtor Lokeach Migat Nab or Su Bo to Kanas Hashuk. Now, if the rabbis instituted the remedy of the marketplace to the buyer from the thief, is it not certain that they instituted it for a buyer from a buyer as well? A law Omar Rava, rather he one Lavor Machazor Maor Isaror, I think. Sure. Key Miria, the owner of the book, present 120 zoos and collect this book from him. Believe Dean Morar the son Gemora, Alicia Nicole, Arbor Noah, Noah, and the owner of the book should then go and collect 40 zoos from the Paparian, Usanon, Mishuor, and 80 zoos from the Noshian.
Hazel Bar Mari the Sifra. Okay, so Rebbe has an interesting thing that he says over here. We'll translate it again and see if we understand it. I don't understand it really, but he says like this. He says Hashta lokeach miganav asubo tekanas hashuk. Now that we see that we've already learned that somebody who is a buyer from the ganav himself, we do tekanas hashuk for him. A buyer that buys from the ganav himself, we do tekanas hashuk for him. Meaning that when the owner comes and recovers his item from him, the owner has to give the full amount to the buyer that he paid for the item from the ganav. So then, if we already know that, says Rava, lokeach mi boya, do we really need to hear this? What Abaya paskined in the previous case, that when the buyer number 2 bought it from buyer number 1, who bought it from a ganav, do we really need to hear that case of when buyer number 2 buys it from buyer number 1? Do we need to hear that we did it to tekanas hashuk in that case? Of course, we're going to do tekanas hashuk in that case. All the more so, we're going to do tekanas hashuk. Seems to be at any rate,
this is what I was asking.
What's the point? I don't understand it.
Point is, you have to protect the second buyer also. You answered me and said, well, he made a profit, so we don't protect him.
In other words, the question, no. No, I'll tell you what the problem is. The problem is like this. We've got 2 buyers over here of stolen goods. We've got a buyer that bought it from the ganav himself, and we got a second buyer who bought it from the one that bought it from the ganav. So now, according to what Abaya said over here, Abaya said that the original owner only has to pay the second ganav. Sorry. We said that the owner only has to pay the second buyer a portion of what he paid. That second buyer, he bought the item for 120. So why shouldn't the owner have to pay that guy 120? Why is he only paying him 80? That's the question. Why should we say that second buyer has to go running after buyer number 2? I think that is Rava's question on Abaye, because according to Abaye, buyer number 2 is still got to go running after somebody for buying this stolen item. He doesn't have to run after the ganav. He's got to run after the one that sold it to him, who's also really a ganav, because he bought stolen items and he sold it. Why does he have to do that? Says Rava. In other words, that's what Rava says over here. El Omar Rava, Lizil Mare de Sifra, let the owner of the book go, V'yohiv le Lebar Mechuza, let him go to the bar mechuzah and give him how much? Not 80, like Abaya wanted to say, but let him give him the 120 that he paid for the item, the full amount. And now that bar mechuzah, he is good to go. He's out of the picture. He doesn't have to go running after anybody. Why should he have to go running? The whole and that's what Rav is saying. If we say that a lokeach from a ganev, we do tekanas hashuk, meaning to say we don't want him to go running after anybody to recover his loss for buying stolen items in a public marketplace. So all the more so we don't want the somebody that buys from that buyer to have to go running after buyer number one either. We don't want him to have to go running. I believe that's the complaint that Rava has with the ruling of Abaye. And so therefore, Rava says the first step should be that the owner goes to the one that has the item. He wants to recover his item. So he goes to the one that has the item in his possession now, which is buyer number 2. He bought it from buyer number 1, who bought it from the Ganev. And how much did buyer number 2, the bar mechuzah, pay for it? 120. So says Rava, why does he have to? Why can he take it away from him simply with giving him a portion of what he paid? Why should he? Why should he give him only 80? He should give him the 120 that he paid for it. And like that, buyer number 2 doesn't need to go running after anybody for the fact that he bought stolen goods, which is the whole idea of tekanas hashuk. And then what happens?
He's got to go to court against 2 different people.
Yohiv le lebar mechuzah mea ve'esrin zuz v'shokol sifra. So now the buyer has his sefer. I mean, the owner has his sefer, but he paid 120 shek. He paid 120 whatever it is zuz for the sefer that he owns. So now he's got to go lezel mare de sifra. Now the owner of the book, he's missing 120. Let him go. Velishkol arbayim mi papuna. Let him go and take 40 of that from the papuna, because he's now in possession of 40 zuz that he profited as a result of stolen merchandise. So that's an ill-gotten gain of the bar papuna of 40 zuz. So now the owner of the book has to go to him. He can get 40 from him, and then to Manan me narsha, and then he'll get the 80 from the Ganev who sold it to him for 80. So like that, Rava believes that that's a better application of tekanas hashuk than the application that Abaya said. And who's the halacha like? Doesn't say. Okay. Lou, what was your question again?
My question was, One, we treat the Pompeian the same as we treat the Mechuzan. And according to Rava, we do. So Rava satisfied my question.
Well, actually, the only difference as far as the papuna is that instead the whole difference is that according to Abaye, the bar mechuzah is going to have to get the 40 that the bar papuna is holding, whereas according to Rava, the original owner is going to be the one that's going to get the 40 from the papuna.
Right. So what we've done is we've saved the last guy. What was his name? We've saved the
bar mechuzah
from having to go to court.
Right.
So we protected the mechuzah because he's a buyer. And
right.
We want to protect the buyer. So according to Abaye, we don't protect him. We make him go to court. According to Rava, we do protect him. So that seems to me to be more consistent with, I still don't like this whole principle of protecting the buyer, but given that that's the principle, this seems to be more of a proper application of the principle to both buyers.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it for a minute, the nignav, the owner of the item that the item was originally stolen from, if the ganav doesn't sell it to anybody, what has to happen in order for the original owner to get his stolen item back?
Goes back to the ganav.
He's got to run after the ganav. That's the way it is. That's the way it is when somebody guns with something from you. You got to go running after the ganav. There's nothing to do about that. If you want your item back, if you want to be reimbursed for the value of the item, if the item's no longer in existence, you got to go running after the ganav. So that we're not really causing any big loss to the owner if you think about it, because if the item would not have been sold, in any case it's got to go running after the ganav. It's just that in this case, when a buyer bought it, so now it's the original owner has an option to get his item back from the guy that bought it, and he can treat him like a ganav according to Torah law and take it away from him without having to pay him anything for it, because he's regarded like a ganav because he bought stolen items. But the rabbi said, look, this guy didn't really do anything wrong. He just bought it in a public marketplace setting, and he didn't really he didn't do anything wrong. So for that reason, we protect him, and if you'll say, well, what about the original owner? The original owner he's basically got the same recourse that he did if the item would not have been sold. His recourse is to go to the ganav. That's all.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Take care. Be well.
Good.
All right.
Have a good day, everybody. Yashikoya.
Good day, Phil.
Okay, take care. Be well.
Bye, Phil. Bye, Lou. Bye, Alan.
Okay, bye.